Hello and welcome. We are live here at G. Anderson Softball Stadium in picturesque Chapel Hill, North Carolina for WCBN Sports' broadcast of Michigan softball. Today, the Michigan Wolverines take on the Louisville Cardinals. We're just a few minutes away from game time. My name is Morris Fabry. Alongside me is Jeremy Parks. And it's been a minute, JP. I'm glad to be back on the mic.
It's good to be back together with you, Mo. We even had a little delay to keep us between, getting over to this game. The previous game between Northwestern and Louisville went a full 9 innings, in which Louisville was up by 5 going into the top of the 7th. They then gave up a 5 spot to Northwestern to tie up the game, and then a bit of attrition until Northwestern with a solo shot home run in the 9th, and then able to close them out in the bottom half. And with that, we are going to start about roughly an hour and 15 minutes behind schedule, but we're here and we are ready to go on a pretty day in Chapel Hill.
That is correct. Going to give you some lineups today. So Louisville is the visiting team in this showdown. They'll be hitting first. Leading off and playing third base is Sydney Melton. Hitting second in center field, Celine Funky. Hitting third, the designated player, Megan Hensley. Hit 2 home runs last game, but was only credited for 1 due to a bit of controversy that we'll get into later. Hitting fourth, the shortstop, Caitlin Ferguson. Hitting fifth, the catcher, Madison Cousineau. Hitting sixth in left field, Charlie Butler. Hitting 7th at second base is Maddie Newman. Hitting 8th at first base, Kyra Snyder. And hitting 9th with the right fielder, Riley Schindler. They will be facing in the circle the lefty ace for the Michigan Wolverines, Megan Bobian. Jeremy, for those listeners who are not yet initiated, what should we expect out of Bobian today?
Well, Megan Bobian had yet another great weekend last weekend in Tampa. Again, she was on the kind of rough end of the stick in a 6-0 defeat to Florida. She threw 162 pitches, I believe, was the final count in a full 7 innings. And towards the 7th, it was a 2-0 game, gave up 4 in the top. But that was really the only blemish on the weekend for Bobian. She's going to throw hard again here this week with a week of rest behind her. Look for her to continue to try and work in the ball to match her deadly heater. And we'll see how she keeps these tired Louisville hitters, who are just coming off of, again, a full 9-run game, on their heels as they come to the plate here.
There's a stiff breeze at our backs buffeting the flags, and slight left center field, the American flag underneath it, the UNC flag, both billowing out towards center. It's a beautiful stadium here. The canopies of the pine trees dot the horizon in front of us.
Your game time temperature here in Raleigh is right at about 65 degrees with a light breeze, so not quite as warm as it was in Tampa for the Wolverines last weekend, but nobody's going to complain.
Slightly overcast skies, partly cloudy. We see the sun peeking out from behind us to our right. And stepping into the batter's box is Sydney Melton, the lefty. Stands toward the back of the box, rests the bat on her shoulder. Deep bend in the knees. Bobian winds the first pitch of the game, misses high for ball 1.
Well, in the previous game this morning, Melton was 1 for 4. She had 2 strikeouts. She did come across to score once. Trying to get something going here for Louisville. They put up a lot of runs on the board, but again, an unsuccessful effort.
The 1-0, swinging a slow roller toward the right side. Bump ranges, fields, dives for the bag at first base, and beats Melton there for the first out of the game.
Well, that was an awkward play for Bump. It was a light chopper. She was playing normal shading, so she wasn't pinched in. Had to go over range and get it. Faith Canfield was not ready to come over and cover the bag at second, and so Bump laying out with the glove tap to first on her stomach, and she'll get that jersey dirty on the first play of the game. It'll look real professional over there at the corner.
That brings up the center fielder, Celine Funky, another lefty, stands in the middle of the box, holds the bat high, awaits the first pitch from Bobian. Curveball zips in there on the outer half for a called strike 1.
Funky, a key player in the last game for Louisville. Going to be a key player in the lineup again here in this one. She was 2 for 3 this morning. Came across to score twice, took a couple of walks as well, so she's been hot.
The 0-1, curveball starts high, stays high, and the count evens at 1-1 with 1 out here in the top of the first.
Funky on the young season. This is her 16th at bat. She's batting .400. Her OBP is .471.
Bobian winds the 1-1. Curveball just off the plate away for ball 1, for ball 2, I should say. Bit out of practice.
Katie Alexander back behind the plate here. She's started in 4 of the 5 games last weekend in Tampa.
The 2-1 misses high.
A very key part of that battery with Megan Beaubien. Again, she is also working from a position where she has the freshman Hannah Carson kind of primed to be next year's everyday catcher under her tutelage. We might see her start a game this weekend.
3-1 curveball catches the inside corner. Funky was just about ready to toss that bat away and trot down to first base, but Beaubien just caught that edge and the count runs full. Your umpires today: behind home plate, Charles McManus. Down the first base line, Peter Blair. At third base, Daniel Rogers. Beaubien winds the payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Celine Funky for the first K of the game for Megan Beaubien.
And we could tell in seeing Megan Beaubien last week, Morris, I know you weren't there, but she really enjoyed going to the outside edge on hitters. Didn't really matter which side it was. She just wanted to go away. And she had a tough time getting calls on the edges of the zone. That one definitely not in the zone, but tailing away and down and drawing a bad swing for the first K of the game.
That'll bring up Hensley. First pitch dips down low for ball one. Yeah, I remember vividly last year in an interview, Beaubien saying her favorite type of strikeout was change-up swinging. She pulled the string on Funky there. The 1-0 on its way to Hensley. Drop ball misses low and in. The count runs to 2-0. Hensley, the senior, had a couple of home runs last game, although one was scored as a triple. We'll get into that between innings when we have time. The 2-0 on its way, up and in. It plunks Hensley on her left forearm, and she'll trot down to first base.
I think that one might have got a piece of the elbow pad there. She didn't even flinch as she took that pitch. And Louisville has their first base runner of the game. Can try and produce a little two-out offense here in the first frame.
Beaubien shrugs it off, and that brings up the shortstop, Caitlin Ferguson. A righty just like the righty. Hensley follows a couple of lefties to start this order for the Louisville Cardinals. First pitch misses high for ball one.
Ferguson hitting .235 so far on the young season. Did have a home run in the last game. 6 RBIs so far.
Beaubien gets the sign. The 1-0 swinging a tap foul. Foul tip off the glove of Alexander and back to the backstop. Peters in center field is shaded about 15 feet over toward that right center field gap.
Yeah, your defensive lineup is pretty much the same end of the weekend. Last weekend in Tampa, however, we'll get to talking about the lineup. It is quite different.
1-1 curveball just missed, not sure where, maybe low, and the count runs to 2-1 on Caitlin Ferguson, the righty.
Yeah, we've got a much better vantage point this weekend as well here from right behind home plate, next to the press box here under our tent at the G. Anderson Softball Stadium.
The 2-1 on its way, swinging a pop-up foul on the right side. It's going to make its way out of play. Bounces up against the Ken and Cheryl Williams hitting facility. Looks like a warehouse with a couple of garage doors interspersed with some brick pillars.
The full Carolina Tar Heels team is sitting on the first base side here watching this one. They were expecting to play fairly soon, but again, the delays will keep them waiting.
The 2-2 on its way. Curveball just misses off the plate inside. Beaubien nibbling at the corners, not getting all the calls, and the count runs full.
Yeah, and Ferguson did a good job there, too, of trying to sell the curve a little bit. It did bite in at the end, but she tried to show a twist out of the way, trying to make it look a little more uncomfortable than it probably was there.
Now the payoff pitch on the way, swinging a foul back to the screen. Bounces back onto the field of play, rolls down the third baseline where Madison Uden will pick it up and hand it back to her pitcher.
Maybe see if you can get the swinging changeup here that you mentioned just a minute ago, Megan Beaubien's favorite. As of last year, it could have changed between now and then.
Another payoff pitch, called strike three. Down goes Ferguson looking, and looked like it might have been the drop.
It wasn't swinging, but staring right down the pipe, just as good, and it'll be 2 strikeouts in the first for Megan Beaubien with a hit batter and no damage done.
And so that'll bring the Wolverines up to bat after 1 runner reaches. No harm done. 0-0 the score heading to the bottom of the first here on WCBN Sports' broadcast of Michigan softball. The Wolverines lineup leading off in left field, the lefty Lexi Blair, a freshman. Following her is another freshman, the designated player Morgan Overitis. Hitting third at second base, Faith Canfield. Hitting cleanup, the catcher Katie Alexander. Hitting fifth in right field, Haley Hoganrod. Hitting sixth at first base, Taylor Bump. Hitting seventh in center field, Natalie Peters. Hitting eighth at third base, Madison Uden. And hitting ninth, playing shortstop, Natalia Rodriguez. In the circle opposing the Wolverines will be Danielle Watson, who closed out that last game for the Louisville Cardinals. came in as Northwestern was rallying for a 5-run top of the 7th. Didn't quite stem the blood flow until it was too late and Northwestern had tied the game, but
I mean, she did a good job at 2 2/3. The only hit, the only run, the only earned run that she gave up was the game-winning solo shot in the top of the 9th. So, by and large, she was pretty good, and she'll still be fresh again since she only threw 2 2/3.
So Lexi Blair leading things off for the Wolverines. The freshman played all 5 games last weekend, hitting .412, 7 of 17.
This her first opportunity at the top of the order is Natalie Peters, who was there last weekend, has moved down to the 7th spot in this lineup. Overitis is on deck waiting in the formerly Lexi Blair spot in the 2-hole.
So Watson looks in, gets the sign from Cousineau, the catcher. She winds the first pitch to Blair, squares to bunt, pulls back, and it's right down Broadway for a called strike 1.
And we saw last weekend Lexi Blair's ability to drop a bunt right in front of the batter's box and use her speed down the line, so the corner infielders are pinching in on her. They're ready to pounce.
Watson, the righty, winds, delivers, swinging a foul back to the screen. The count quickly 0-2 on the Wolverines' freshman outfielder.
Yeah, so one show bunt, and then after that, swing away.
Watson checks her armband on her left hand. Now standing on the rubber, waiting for Blair to get back in the box. Blair slight bend in the knees. Awaits the 0-2 pitch on its way. Swinging a line drive back up the middle. That's a base hit. Into the right center field gap it goes. Ranging over to cut it off is Celine Funky. She'll fire it back into the infield. But Lexi Blair aboard with a single to lead off the game for the Wolverines.
Boy, does her torrid streak just continue at the plate from last weekend, picking up where she left off in the Wolverines with a leadoff runner on. With a little jig over at first base. I like that move.
That was a frozen rope. Speaking of ropes, Overitis, now stepping up to the plate on the left-hand side for the Wolverines, scalded the ball all of last weekend. First pitch called strike on the outer half.
Yeah, and she came away with 4 hits on the weekend, but again, every single ball that she hit was hit hard. Had several that were right on a line, right to the outfielder's gloves, but again, she was making good contact against really good pitching.
Overitis awaits, swinging it, looked like an off-speed offering, and just wasn't quite ready for it, and the count runs to 0-2. For the second straight at-bat, the Wolverines hitters will have to battle from behind against Danielle Watson. Infield at normal depth, same with the outfield. Watson winds the 0-2 to Overitis, swinging a pop-up. It's going to stay on the infield. Calling for it is the shortstop, Caitlin Ferguson. She'll camp under it just beyond the pitching circle and make the catch for the first out.
Yeah, I didn't get a hold of that one. Underneath is the bat snuck down below the ball there, and a confidence building out here for Louisville. They started against Northwestern in the first inning. There were 2 runs across the board with 3 runners on before they even recorded the first out in the top of the first.
That'll bring up Faith Canfield with 1-on-1 out here in the bottom of the first. Pitch on the way, swinging a line drive over the head of the shortstop Ferguson and into center field. Funky comes up with it, flips it in towards second. Blair is there. And it is a 1-out single for Canfield. Blair moves to second. The Wolverines threatening here in the bottom of the first.
Faith Canfield also looking really good. That's going to be her 7th hit in 18 at-bats. That average will continue to creep up with the small sample size. And Katie Alexander due up here, who had a couple big bombs last weekend, including a grand slam home run. Although her 2 home runs were her only 2 hits in 11 plate appearances.
You sure that was Alexander? First pitch on the way. Misses just off the plate inside for ball 1.
Indeed it was. It was not Canfield.
No need to explain that any further. The left side of the infield back. The third baseman Melton off the line against the righty Katie Alexander. Steps back into the box, stands tall, rests the bat on her shoulder. Now lifts it up, the 1-0 on its way. She takes. It's a curveball that misses off the plate inside for ball 2. Carol Hutchins down the third baseline, claps her hands.
No walks drawn so far for Katie. See what she gets here in the 2-0. Could go real hitter friendly here.
Watson winds, 2-0 on its way, swinging a pop-up. Left field, ranging over and making the catch is Charlie Butler. The runners will not advance. It was a little more than a pop-up, as it was a few steps shy of the warning track. It's a little deceptive from our vantage point, but either way, a routine flyout for out number 2.
Yeah, again, decent contact, but another one that sticks right up for the outfield. Only had to take about 3 steps off of her shading there to make the grab.
That'll bring up the righty. Haley Hoganrod went 4 of 14 last weekend with a couple doubles. The righty stands toward the back of the box, torques the bat behind her helmet. First pitch misses high for ball 1.
Hoganrod last weekend 4 for 14, but she did have a couple of clutch hits. She also had 2 doubles out of those 4 hits, so trying to get to the gaps again here this weekend.
And it looks like the corner outfielders are shaded toward those lines for the Cardinals. The 1-0 on its way, swinging a fly ball skied foul over the screen on the left side and out of play. Got a couple children roaming about the stadium, chasing down all of the foul balls that leave the premises.
Yeah, they give you prizes here. If you bring the foul balls back to the press box, they give you a prize.
Oh, so that's why that kid was so... I wanted to track one down, but some kid just sprinted to it and beat me in the previous game. The 1-1 on its way, swinging a line drive, base hit down the right field line. It's going to roll all the way to the wall. Rounding third and scoring is Blair. Rounding third, coming home is Faith Canfield. Stopping at second is Haley Hoganrod. It's a 2-run double, and the Wolverines off to a hot start here in the bottom of the first.
And like we said, Hoganrod, she didn't need to go to anywhere in the gaps there. She just blew that one right by the right fielder, Schindler, and that is her 3rd double so far here on the season, and she'll bring around another couple of RBIs. That'll bring her total to 6, and Michigan takes an early 2-0 lead.
Just a laser to the opposite field off the bat of the junior Hoganrod. First pitch to Taylor Bump misses high for ball 1. Bump, a sophomore, hitting 2 for 8 on the season.
Still seemingly in a bit of a scrap with Alex Subject for the starting position at first. They kind of bounced around last weekend.
1-0 pitch, swinging a foul right back to the screen. Would have hit the press box windows to our left if not for the protective netting. The count 1-1 on the righty Bump. Stands tall in that righty batter's box. Rests the bat on her shoulder. Watson twist. Riser misses high and outside, and the count now 2-1 on Taylor Bump.
Again, you've got Hoganrod's the only base runner on now after she cleared it up, standing over on second.
Watson winds, the 2-1 on its way, swinging a pop-up. Foul ground. I think that one is going to get out of play, and it does, landing, I think, to the left of the press box behind home plate.
Yeah, Kuzno looked like she thought she had a play there, but that one getting back to the roof of the press box here. Tight confines, the backstop a lot closer here. That might be depth perception again from where we were up on the mezzanine last weekend.
The 2-2 swung on and missed. It's a high heater. Bump went chasing after the high cheese, and she goes down on strikes. And that'll do it for the Wolverines' threat here in the bottom of the first, but not until after Haley Hoganrod strikes first, knocking in a couple on a double down the right field line. The Wolverines lead 2-0, heading into the top of the second here on WCBN Sports' broadcast of Michigan softball. And I want to get into that home run that I was alluding to earlier.
Okay.
Hit by Megan Hensley. Just a moonshot over that left field wall. There were a couple home runs that looked like that. But it was a 2-run home run. It would have put Louisville up 8-3 in the game. However, apparently, I came to this game late. Apparently, they had been warned for this early on home runs earlier in the game.
And I was here, and it was not something that was readily apparent on the first couple of home runs that there had been a warning issued for this. But continue.
Hensley, the batter, was called out because her teammates celebrated in fair territory and made contact with her before she made it to home plate. So the run that she knocked in counted, but her run did not count. And if you recall from our earlier description, that game was tied at the end of 7 innings. Northwestern won in extra innings. So you can make the argument that Louisville lost the game because of this celebration infraction that nullified a run on the board.
Yeah, it's an interesting rule that we've never seen played out, at least in our own experiences here on the diamond before Morris, but definitely something that needs to be kept an eye on. Ugh. I mentioned that I got up at 3:50 this morning to fly over here, so
not on air, you didn't.
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle here.
Madison Kuzno, the righty, leading things off for the Cardinals, and She takes one high for ball 1. Yeah, I had never encountered that rule before. I just saw a bunch of Louisville fans who have traveled well, 8-hour trip,
Yeah.
at least via car to get here.
Outnumbering the Michigan fans here from my best estimation.
The 1-0 curveball backdoor called strike on the outer half, belt high. Count even at 1-1. Nobody on, nobody out. Top of the second, Louisville trailing the Wolverines 2-0.
A decent Michigan contingent, not little.
The 1-1, swing and a miss. Curveball backdoor again. Cousineau cuts right through it and is behind in the count 1-2.
I think last weekend might have just seemed so much more impressive at USF just because there are so many Michigan snowbirds down that way that came to the stadium regardless of affiliation.
The 1-2 tried the same pitch, missed high in the count, evens at 2-2 on the righty Cousineau. Hitless on the season so far. Cousineau, a senior, has had 3 at-bats. The 2-2 changeup called. Strike 3 froze Cousineau looking. Beaubien's third of the game. She's faced 5 hitters.
Again, like you said, she loves getting him swinging on that pitch, but that's 2 now where it's blown right by him, and nothing they can do. That's already 3 strikeouts on the game for Megan Beaubien.
That'll bring up Charlie Butler, the left fielder. Hits right-handed. First pitch. Riser called strike just above the belt. Looked like it caught a good chunk of the plate.
Yeah, it was a little inside, and again, Butler trying to sell it by just twisting in a little bit, but right on top of that one behind home plate.
The 0-1. Curveball, that one starts high. Stays at about the eye level to the righty Butler, a freshman. 0 of 10 on the season. Looking to open her account. The infield and outfield straight away. Peters maybe 5 steps toward that right center field gap. Out in center, the 1-1. Swing and a pop-up. A lot of backspin on it. Alexander ranges from behind the plate and makes the catch down the first base line.
And again, she makes that play look so easy, but that's got to be a tough call as you're coming from your crouch behind home plate to see all that spin on the ball and then to not overrun it and to track it perfectly right down the foul line and to make that basket catch. That's just another testament to how good defensively Katie Alexander is behind the plate for this team.
That brings up the lefty, Maddie Newman. First pitch curveball called strike on the outer half. Popping the mitt apart, Alexander is Megan Beaubien.
This is the Williams Field at the G. Anderson Softball Stadium. Not Roy Williams, though, of basketball.
The 0-1 swinging a foul back to the screen. Newman quickly behind in the count, 0-2. And yeah, Alexander just made that look easy. There was a ton of spin on that ball. And it's not easy to get up from that crouched position when you've been crouching for so long with all that gear on and just looking spry as you like. The 0-2 on its way. Curveball misses high for ball 1.
And again, the perks of getting up in the count 0-2, able to play around with the rise ball and try and get a poor swing there from Newman. And again, still room to work.
The 1-2, changeup, hanging, misses high. Beaubien shrugs her shoulders back, wants that one back. The count even at 2-2.
Yeah, just a bit above the letters there, as that release was just a hair off.
Uden down at third base, a few steps in front of the bag and off the line. The 2-2 on its way, swinging a tapper foul down the third base side.
Newman just 214 so far on the season. Again, just her 15th at bat, so all of these teams just working off of the first weekend of play. So take all of these averages and other statistics throughout the game as you will.
Beaubien gets the sign. The 2-2 swinging a pop-up foul on the left side. Newman spoiling a couple of pitches.
Newman definitely has speed on the base paths. Last weekend she was able to bag 2 stolen bases.
The averages on this Louisville squad weirdly depressed for a team that put up, as the 2-2 pitch misses high, for a team that put up scores of 9-0, 10-0, and 7-5 last weekend. I don't think the box score that we have has been updated for that 9-8 affair against Northwestern last game.
Correct.
So the count is full, nobody on, 2 outs for Maddie Newman. Beaubien delivers, called strike 3. On the inside corner at the knees, Newman frozen, back to the dugout she goes, and Louisville scoreless for the second consecutive frame. We head to the bottom of the second. Michigan leading this one 2-0.
You're listening to Michigan softball coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Softball. Finish it, Mo.
Network?
Radio Network.
Radio Network.
I got Drain to do it last weekend, finally. He refused to do it at first. But just a quick opportunity again for all of you tuning in today. An opportunity for you all to communicate with us throughout the game. If you're watching via YouTube.
Oh, Alex.
In the YouTube live chat, feel free to drop any comments,
Alex,
questions.
that's horrible.
Our own Alex Drain had dropped Haley Hoganrod, no. Haley Neutralgenrod. I don't even know how you're supposed to pronounce that.
We called her Haley Hoganrod last year because she had a lot of success at the plate.
But again,
in Alumni Field, and this is technically a neutral site for this game, and she's just come up big, and Alex saw the opportunity to make a truly egregious punt.
The last couple of weekends, we've gotten incredible feedback from you all, from everyone who listens to us, both in Ann Arbor and all across the country. So feel free to shout out where you're listening from, give us any questions that you have, and we always enjoy those questions at the half innings to go through. So with that said, we also do Twitter shout-outs as well, so at WCBN Sports on Twitter, feel free to shoot us a message there.
If you make any puns, I promise I won't trash them if you aren't already affiliated with WCBN. That brings up Natalie Peters to start things off against Danielle Watson. The first pitch she takes, it's a curveball that misses low for ball one. Peters, a senior already, man, it's flown by. 2 of 13 on the season. The infield playing in on the lefty slapper. Watson torques, winds the 1-0. Rise ball starts high and stays high. Count moves to 2-0 on the Michigan center fielder.
And again, she had started last weekend at the top of the lineup, moving down to the 7 spot after going just 2 for 13, trying to get the bat moving a little bit here.
Watson winds, the 2-0. Peters thought about it, but the breaking ball misses low for ball 3. Michigan wearing all blue uniforms, blue tops, blue pants, dark blue socks. Louisville in white with red and black trim, black socks. The 3-0 on its way to Peters. She takes and catches a good chunk of the outside half of the plate for a called strike 1.
And oddly enough, for all that commentary on Peters moving from 1 to 7, instead still leading off the inning here in the...
Yeah, sort of a second leadoff, if you will. Hutch emulating a swing for Peters to see. She awaits the 3-1 on its way. She takes, and it misses just off the plate, low and away for ball 4.
And again, the leadoff runner on in the first 2 innings, back-to-back for Michigan. Last inning, it worked out well. The 2 runs that are the difference in this game coming around to score on a Haley Hoganrod double. And Peters, obviously, no slouch on the base paths. She's got speed as well. We'll see maybe if Michigan gets a little aggressive here.
That'll bring up the lefty Madison Uden. Watson winds, delivers. First pitch, called strike. Looked like a changeup on the outside corner at the knees. I thought it was the most curious thing about this lineup to me is hitting Madison Uden in the 8 spot.
Yeah, she struck out 5 times last weekend in just 14 at-bats, so trying to limit that here as well.
The 0-1 on its way, swinging a ground ball left side. A sliding attempt by the shortstop Ferguson off her glove and into shallow left field. It's going to be a base hit for Madison Uden. Would have been a terrific play for her to get an out even if she had fielded it cleanly.
Yeah, that'll go down as an infield single. It initially was a little chopper that got by the glove of the third baseman Melton, then got all the way back to Ferguson at short as she ranged back towards where the dirt meets the grass. Up off her glove, no play to be made. 2 on now with no outs.
That'll bring up Natalia Rodriguez. We're almost certainly going to see a bunt here. Watson winds, Rodriguez squares, lays it down, high chopper toward the third base side. The throw to first is an awkward one and a nice pick over at first by Kyra Snyder. Sydney Melton made the fielding throw. The runners move up on the sacrifice bunt.
Yeah, it was a low throw that had to be picked up out of the dirt, but like you said, most likely to see a bunt, and indeed we do. Has 2 runners now in scoring position, and we will see the ever torrid Lexi Blair come back up.
And it looks like Rodriguez stepping back up to home plate.
Oh, they called it foul?
Probably a foul
Played
ball
it foul
call.
out of the batter's box. Must have been the call.
maybe it ricocheted off of Rodriguez's foot or the catcher, because if it touches any part of the dirt. So there's a ball on the scoreboard. I'm going to need an explanation for this. Anyway, the scoreboard reads 1-0. The pitch on its way. She squares to bunt. This one, a good bunt. Melton charges, and she won't have a play. It's a base hit bunt now for Natalia Rodriguez. Second time's the charm.
Well, oddly enough, again, I'm not quite sure what the call was. The previous play had been fully completed. The call that she was out was made at first, and then after she was already back to the dugout and Lexi Blair was into the batter's box, did they pull Rodriguez back out?
I just saw one of the smoothest feats of athleticism that I'm ever going to see. And I'm not talking about the bunt. I'll explain after the first pitch to Lexi Blair, who is up with the bases loaded and no outs. Watson winds. The pitch misses off the plate away for ball one. So anyway, Blair picked up Rodriguez's bat, tossed it over to Overitis in the on-deck circle, twirling like a spiraling football. It didn't flip it all end over end. And Overitis just let it like slide through her hand and caught it at the handle, and then tossed it into the dugout. The 1-0 on its way, misses high for ball two, nowhere to put Lexi Blair.
Yeah, now starting to struggle with the command with some pressure on is Danielle Watson.
It was just so effortless and smooth. 2-0 the count on the lefty Blair, singled up the middle her last plate appearance. That was back in the first. We're here in the bottom of the second. The Wolverines 2 on the board, looking to add some more. The 2-0 pitch just misses a bit low.
That's a good pitch there from Watson. That one just barely missing that lower outside corner, it looked like.
We hear a loud, great pitch from presumably a Louisville fan here in the stands. And yeah, Watson gestured with her right hand as if to say, you know, what else do I got to do? Just missed low. The 3-0 on its way. That one's a called strike, outer half, above the knees.
One of our listeners saying it seems like Louisville is gassed. Just what Michigan needs. It, I mean, goes without saying probably after playing 9 full innings again, and not just 9 full innings, but 9 innings with a lot of hitting, a lot of fielding. They probably are a little bit tired coming into this one.
The 3-1 to Blair, swinging a fly ball, left field. That one's going to be trouble. It bounces up against the base of the wall. I think the runners are only going to move up one station, as they had to wait to see if the left fielder Charlie Butler would track that one down, but she turned over the wrong shoulder as it tailed more toward the line. It's going to be a long RBI single for Lexi Blair.
And again, Lexi Blair just continuing to tear it up at the plate. Another RBI, another hit, and Michigan continues with the bases juice, ducks on the pond. Wow, it's 3-run lead.
First pitch to Overitis, big swing and a miss. Looked like Watson, the pitcher, took something off of that.
Michigan so far in this game, Morris, 6 for 9 at the plate. A very nice start to this one.
Watson winds the 0-1, swing and a pop-up behind home plate. Looks like it's going to make its way into the seats. It bounces off the bleachers in the second row. And the count quickly 0-2 on Overitis, just as it was in her first at-bat when she popped out. Danielle Watson, the pitcher, could really go for a pop-out right here as the wind picks up, again blowing out towards center field. Watson gets the sign from Cousineau. The 0-2 misses high, gets away from the catcher, back to the backstop, and a wise decision to stay over at third base by Madison Uden as that one ricocheted right back into the hands of the waiting Cousineau.
So I'd mentioned earlier in the broadcast, this backstop here at Carolina is a bit closer in than it was last week in Tampa, and that one got up so high that it got a really generous bounce off the back netting and went right back to Cousineau.
Now the 1-2 pitch, swinging a foul back to the screen.
Really a saving grace there for Watson, as that almost assuredly, had it bounced a different way, would have been another run across for Michigan.
Hutch indicating that Overitis is shifting her weight too far toward her front foot, as Overitis indicates that she knows she should stay back in her stance. The 1-2 on its way, swinging a fly ball, center field. Should be deep enough to score the run, making the catches funky. Fires it in toward the shortstop Ferguson. Scoring from third base is Madison Uden. It's a sacrifice fly for Morgan Overitis, and the Wolverines lead this one 4-0.
And that'll be the 4th RBI of the season for Overitis, who, although the hits continue to elude her, she's continuing to bring runs across.
Yeah, she did her job. That brings up Faith Canfield, the epitome of consistency at the plate. 1 for 1 with a single to center in her last at-bat, hitting with 2 on and 1 out in the bottom of the second. First pitch, swinging a fly ball left field. Routine play for Charlie Butler. She takes a couple steps to her left, settles under it, and makes the catch for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, again, just a little bit underneath that ball. If Canfield had hit it right at its even point, that one would have been over the wall, but a good effort.
That'll bring up Katie Alexander, who flied out to left center in her last at-bat. Charlie Butler, the left fielder, has had plenty of action so far in this one. Probably not the defensive player you want to have the most action if you are a Louisville Cardinals fan. First pitch on its way, called strike. Well placed there from Danielle Watson. A hard breaking ball in on the hands of Alexander. Alexander hammers the plate with the bat. Readies the 0-1. Swing and a miss. Big cut got underneath. Count moves to 0-2.
And Watson could get out of this one with just 2 on the frame again. Trying to limit the damage. Michigan got off to a really hot start here in the inning and 1 strike away from getting back to the dugout.
The 0-2 on its way. Swing and a foul tip that just pops out of the glove of the catcher Cousineau. If there was any contact, it was imperceptible from up here, but clearly it was just enough that Cousineau couldn't handle it.
Couldn't really see it, couldn't really hear it, but the arms did go up behind home plate and staying alive by the thinnest of margins.
New life for the catcher. Watson winds. Another 0-2. Looked like a drop ball. Misses low for ball 1. The infield and outfield straight away. On the catcher Alexander. Down at third base, Melton. Maybe 3 steps behind the bag off the line. The shortstop Ferguson nearly on the grass. The 1-2 on its way. Swinging a pop-up foul behind home plate. Rolls up the roof and out toward what I believe is a disc golf course.
Yeah, we are kind of in a nice wooded area back here. The softball stadium tucked away from the campus, tucked away from the roadways. Really quiet and calm, picturesque.
The left fielder Butler shaded toward the line as Alexander steps back in. The 1-2 on its way, swinging a line drive left center field. That one's going to split the gap and bounce up against the wall. Rounding third and scoring is Rodriguez. Stopping at third is Lexi Blair, and cruising into second base with an RBI double is Katie Alexander. The Wolverines up to 5 here in the bottom of the second.
So finally, Katie Alexander gets a hit that is not a home run, and this one another extra base hit as it gets up off the wall. That'll be the first double of the season for Alexander. And again, with just 3 hits, that'll be 9 RBIs. How about that for efficiency?
Hutch meets her halfway between second and third, slaps her 5, takes her, I think, wrist protector off of her.
Yeah, the elbow guard and all that nonsense.
That'll bring up Haley. Any location can rod. RBI 2-run double in her last plate appearance. Swings and grounds one back at the middle. What a snag by Watson. Flailing out her left hand, stopping that one from going up the middle. It would have scored 2 instead. She flips to first for the final out of the inning.
Michigan puts up 3 runs on another series of hits in the bottom of the second, and they take a 5-0 lead headed into the top of the third. You're listening to Michigan softball coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Softball
Radio Network.
Yeah.
I got you, man. Hard to be critical of any aspect of the Wolverines' offense so far. They're hitting the ball hard. They're hitting the ball everywhere.
Yep.
I want to call some home runs, Jeremy. I haven't been on the mic in a while. I've been thinking of things to say.
Home runs come soon, boss man. Shout out to a couple of our listeners. We've got a chime in from Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. Was there this morning on my layover en route to Raleigh-Durham. O'Hare's an okay airport. It's just like large. There's not anything really special about it. It's not pretty.
Doesn't compare to Raleigh-Durham.
No, very pretty airport. And also a shout out to a listener in Zeeland, out near my hometown of Grand Rapids and home of Haley Hoganrod.
A commenter.
West side, best side.
Mama Earl just commented, "We want you to call home runs too." Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Again, keep your comments coming on the YouTube live chat. We continue to answer those throughout the broadcast and questions that you have. A good comment was made again about Lexi Blair, that Hutch, who is usually very reluctant to give effusive praise of her players, has been so effusive in her assessment of Lexi Blair, and that continued streak at the plate is a sign of why.
Fun fact, she's never recorded an out when I've been watching her play. The first pitch, swinging a foul between the legs of the lefty first baseman Kyra Snyder and over toward the right side.
Oh, it's good to have you back, buddy.
Alexander scampers to pick it up and fires it back to Beaubien. Through 2 innings, she's recorded 4 strikeouts, the only base runner to reach. Got hit with a pitch. The 0-1 on its way, curveball, and a beauty, a bender at the outside corner at the knees.
You see that one coming at you, and you think it's going to come inside, and then it winds up all the way to that outside edge of the plate. A beautiful pitch.
0-2 quickly on the lefty Snyder. Tries the drop ball low.
Snyder's got 5 strikeouts and just 12 at-bats. Could make it 6-13 here with 1 more strike. And Megan Beaubien in search of her 5th strikeout of the game.
Good math. The 0-2 on its way, swinging a grounder, snagged by Beaubien. Back up the middle, she fires to first for the first out here in the top of the 3rd.
Yow! Call that some genuine Italian leather. That was flashy.
Looked like a mirror image of the final out of last inning as Watson snagged Hoganrod's grounder with her left hand. Beaubien, a lefty, snagged it with the right.
Yep.
The result the same, a 1-3 ground out. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter in the lineup. First pitch misses high. It is Riley Schindler, a sophomore, 0 for 3 on the season. Schindler already stands toward the back of the box, deep bend in the knees. The 1-0, curveball called strike. Outer half, backdoor stuff from Beaubien.
We've got more shout-outs and sound-offs from listeners. Winter Garden, Florida, home of Lexi Blair. Shout-out. Sharpsburg, Georgia, Grand Rapids, Dearborn.
The 1-1, drop ball misses low. Beaubien bounces a couple times on her toes, wants that pitch back. Didn't quite feel right to her. She doesn't wear her emotions on her sleeves, but she shows emotion. The 2-1 skied into center field, back at the wall, leaping and making the catch is Natalie Peters. Her back bumps up against the Carolina A for the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, you were about to say it, but that catch, Natalie Peters out in center field, that one was a tough one. I mean, she went all the way back. We saw a couple home runs last weekend in Tampa get over the short fence at the USF softball stadium. The Carolina wall is uniformly tall, about 7 feet tall, I would guess, in the outfield all across the board. And so that one was going to hit the wall if she didn't. Ranging all the way back, she had the back of the glove to the wall, and the ball finds the mitt.
Sounded like the beginning of a limerick. The Carolina wall is universally tall, or uniformly tall. About 7 feet tall, I would guess. First pitch drop ball, swing and a miss to Sydney Melton. The lefty third baseman grounded out to Beaubien, her last plate appearance.
It was credited to Bump, actually.
Yeah, I got that wrong. Yeah. The 0-1 curveball misses low and away for ball 1.
That was that chopper over to first where Canfield wasn't able to get over to the bag, and so Bump dove and got the glove to the base by a step.
Yep. I remember it like it was an hour ago. It was only like a half hour ago. The 1-1 on its way. Curveball called strike at the knees. And the count runs to 1-2 on Sydney Melton.
I mean, again, there's only so many ways that you can say that Megan Beaubien's just firing on all cylinders, just peppering the zone here early on in this one.
She's doing good things. The 1-2 on its way, swinging a grounder. Left side, snagged on the backhand by Rodriguez, fires to first, and beats Melton by a step. Couple of hard-hit balls, but Michigan's defense holding up to the test.
That one seemed destined for an infield single, and that was a great backhand stab there by Rodriguez. A strong throw over to first, and a good job by Bump. It was a high throw, but she kept her foot to the bag, used that arm to extend, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Again, so far, literally everything coming up maize and blue, 5-0, as we head to the bottom of the 3rd on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan softball and the Michigan Student Softball
Radio Network. Must be nice to have a target with as much range as Taylor Bump over at first base. God, it looked so smooth with Rodriguez. She splayed out that right foot as she extended with the backhand.
We were having a conversation in our all radio group me last night about the overrated qualities of Derek Jeter, but that was very Jeter-esque in that backhand stab, the ability to go across the body over to first and in time.
Can we say that Jeter was very Natalia Rodriguez-esque?
Yes, that's also very fair.
All right, then we will say that.
A couple more shout-outs. Again, we love hearing where you all are listening from. We've got multiple fans identified as Lexi fan. Again, there was the one from Winter Garden, Florida, back at Lexi's home, and then Lexi's cousin Sarah listening from Boston. Shout out to you. DeWitt, Michigan. Ann Arbor. Everywhere that you guys tune in. Mo, I remember when we first started calling softball games. It's 5 years ago now, right? And we would get 2 listeners a game, 3 listeners a game.
It might have been 5 years.
It has been, because it was my freshman year of college, and now I'm a graduate student. So yeah, it was 5 years ago.
Might have been. I don't know if I called softball my first year on student radio.
At least 4 years.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
To say what I was going for, just again, a profuse thank you to everybody that tunes in with us. No matter the situation, again, I know there's no other way to get this content for this game. There will be ACC Network Extra in the next game. So if you have that package, mute the TV and throw on our coverage and sync it up.
Exactly. If you're made of money,
you can see how accurate we are on calling these plays. Deadly efficient. Lexi Blair at the plate efficient.
A new pitcher, Taylor Roby, into the circle for the Cardinals. The freshman with a 2.10 ERA on the season. Her first pitch to Taylor bumped right down Broadway, thigh high for a called strike 1.
Going to get the stat line from the last game on Roby because she was the starting pitcher that gave up the first runs of the game in the first inning to Northwestern.
Bump struck out swinging her first at bat. Takes this one as it dips in the dirt. Good stop by Cousineau. The count moves to 1-1. Nobody on, nobody out here in the bottom of the third. Michigan a 5-0 lead over the Cardinals.
Roby went 2 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs. Only one of them was earned. There were 3 errors in that game on Louisville.
1-1. Drop ball dips in under the hands of Bump for a called strike on the inner half. And the count runs to 1-2. The Breeze began this game stiff, now lazily playing with the flag in center. The 1-2 swinging a ground ball on the right side, fielded on a few hops by Newman. She flips to first for the first out of the inning. A cue shot off the end of Taylor Bump's bat.
And for the first time, the Wolverines do not get their leadoff batter on base here in the third inning. St. Petersburg, Florida. Katie Alexander's mom from Ann Arbor. Was great to meet you all in the airport in Tampa last weekend. Winter Garden, Florida again. Fenwick Island, Delaware. That sounds picturesque and East Coasty. And Columbus, out in enemy territory.
Got to bring up Natalie Peters. The first pitch from Roby misses high for ball 1. Peters reached base with a walk, ended up scoring in her first plate appearance. She led off last inning.
Natalia Rodriguez's mom letting us know she'll add Jeter to her daughter's nickname.
Nah, Jeter should add Natalia Rodriguez to his nickname. The 1-0, curveball called strike, outer half at the knees.
That one coming from Clearmont, Florida. It is a little bit chillier than Florida here, and it's going to continue to get colder as the weekend goes. So hitting, especially tomorrow and Sunday, is we're going to have about a 20-degree drop overnight. Will become a little bit tougher.
The 1-1 on its way, swinging a foul ball off the screen. Uden, I think, caught that one barehanded as it bounced off the screen. Does a little dance for the dugout.
We will be clear for this game, and then we should be very clear for the next game against North Carolina right after this. But tomorrow and Sunday will be slightly in question with some showers coming in the morning tomorrow and PM on Sunday.
The 1-2 swinging a looping line drive. It's going to land fair down the left field line for a base hit. Peters takes a wide turn, scampers back to first base. Good piece of 2-strike hitting. They're not trying to do too much of it, instead just plunking it down in front of the left fielder, Charlie Butler. And Peters is aboard with 1 out for the Wolverines. That one in on her hands, it looked like, just kind of muscled it out there, a Texas leaguer.
Yeah. Didn't quite have the turn on it to get over towards the foul side wall and allow Peters to go 2, but she took a healthy turn.
That brings up Madison Uden, check swing. Lets it go on the outside corner. Appeal down to second base, where Danielle Rogers, the umpire, is standing. She did not go. The count 1-0.
Virginia Beach, Virginia. The robotics lab at Taubman in Ann Arbor.
The 1-0 on its way. Curveball called, strike at the knees, outer half.
We've got great listeners, man.
All over the place.
Big love.
I'm waiting for someone from another country so I can say we're international. Someone lie and say you're listening from Canada or something. The 1-1 on its way. Uden squares to bunt. That was a drag bunt looking for a base hit.
Yep.
It bounced off the catcher Cousineau, and the count moves to 1-2.
Again, these Wolverines hitters up and down the lineup, they've been trying to work in kind of those sneaky bunt situations here. They were doing it last weekend, going back towards it today. I don't mind that at all. Obviously, that takes the bunt out of the equation now with 2 strikes in the count, but I kind of like that. The corner infield was obviously shaded back. They weren't pushing up looking for it, so.
After the scrum in front of home plate, Charles McManus, the umpire, brushes off the dish. The count 1-2. The pitch on the way from Roby, swinging a rocket. Oof, sliding snag from the second baseman Newman. She fields it on 1 hop. Flips to first for the out. Down to second goes Natalie Peters. It was a hard hit, bit of contact from Madison Uden, but unfortunately for her, hit it right at the second baseman.
Yeah, and that's a good job over at second base as well to make that grab. What do you got there? I can't see
Natalia
past the
Rodriguez
camera.
hitting right-handed.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen this before. Apparently she did it last week.
In the middle of the at-bat, yeah, went to 2 strikes and then switched and got the hit out of it.
Roby Wines, pitch on the way, swinging a ground ball.
Oh,
a
another one.
Snag by Roby, reaching out her left hand. Fields flips to first for the easy out. And that's the 3rd out for the Wolverines, their first scoreless frame of the game. They still lead 5-0. We head into the top of the 4th here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, as the sky begins to darken. The wind picks up. The lights around the stadium have been on the entire time. And Megan Bobian has been nearly perfect.
Yep, she'll head back to the circle. We did have somebody say that they are listening from Canada, although I believe if I recognize that username from up the list, they did already chime in. So just appeasing you there, Mo, saying we can go international.
Thank you.
We've got the Fleming Admin Building, Atlanta, Arizona, Lodi Township, another Arizona, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. You all are so great. Continue tuning in with us throughout the weekend and keep with us whenever we've got your Michigan softball coverage, because we love having you along for the ride.
It just feels right. This is a natural field here, natural dirt, natural grass in the outfield.
The elements, very Walden-esque. Like we went out to Walden Pond and got in touch with nature. The really only thing that's off about this stadium is the scoreboard out and left says Carolina softball. The F is missing. So it's just like a T that is missing its extension to the left. Kind of funny to look at.
The grounds crew did an excellent job of preparing this field for this game.
Dayton, Ohio, South Ann Arbor. We appreciate you all. Sounding off.
The 2-3-4 hitters in the lineup up for the Cardinals here in the top of the 4th. Celine Funky squares to bunt, pulls back as the pitch misses outside out of the left arm of Megan Bobian.
I like the name. My girlfriend's last name is Frank with an E on the end, and I always want to say Frankie, but I like that, you know, she gets funky with it. Celine does.
The 1-0 swinging a pop-up, shallow left. Blair takes a couple steps in and makes the routine grab for the first out here in the bottom of the 4th.
Wolverines continue to roll. The Louisville fans have been relatively quiet this game. They haven't had too much to cheer for. No hits yet on the board. Just the 1-hit batter. They were very vocal in that high-scoring game against Northwestern in the first game of the day.
That brings up Megan Hensley, the righty. First pitch, curveball, called strike. Bobian's been spotting that pitch on the back door against righty hitters all game today. Hensley, slight bend to the knees, very open stance toward the back of the box. Holds the bat 45 degrees above the shoulder. The 0-1 starts high, stays high, slipped out of the hand of the lefty Bobian, and the count even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. The infield straightaway. Canfield has her heels on the grass over at second base. And another one starts high and stays high. That one over the head of Hensley.
Yeah, and we've got that prime view looking right at Megan Bobian. You could see that release as she just kind of pulled it up a little too far and let it go as it was arcing up, and it just stayed that way all the way down.
The 2-1. Curveball misses low, and the count moves to 3-1. Hensley, the only base runner today for the Cardinals, reached when she was hit on her left forearm with a Beaubien pitch back in the first. She's been seeing the ball well today. The 3-1 on its way. Called strike. Curve just catches the outer half at the knees. Not really a get-me-over pitch.
No. But still, she continues to get ahead in the counts on these hitters consistently throughout the game so far. This is a rare full count.
Beaubien winds. The payoff pitch. That one misses off the plate away. And Hensley down to first base with a one-out walk.
Yep, second base runner of the game for Louisville, but still no hits on the board. See how Beaubien bounces back here. After a bit of a longer at bat. That last one just getting a bit away from her to the outside. Again, really showing that outside favoritism.
That brings up the shortstop, Caitlin Ferguson, swings and spanks one foul high off the screen on the right side as about 5 or 6 birds of prey, I'll call them ospreys, soar above the treetops.
Is it
ringing around the outfield?
Ornithology? Is that birds?
Ornithology?
Ornithology?
Heck if I know. The 0-1 swing and a miss. Rise ball above the bat. And the count quickly 0-2 on the shortstop, Ferguson.
And again, Beaubien continues to change eye levels. First one went down low, then bring that one back up. Just continually keeping hitters on their back heel.
The 0-2 on its way. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Caitlin Ferguson. Another one up and out of the zone. Got her to chase the high cheese.
That's the 7th strikeout for Ferguson and 19 at-bats so far this year. It's the 5th strikeout, I should say, for Megan Beaubien so far in the game. She's got a fistful.
That brings up Madison Cousineau. Name's got a nice ring to it. Beaubien gets her sign. Pitch on the way. Check swing. Appeal down to first. She did not go. The pitch missed low. The count 1-0.
Somebody looked up ornithology. It is correct per Google.
Ornithology.
Ornithology, the study of birds.
Say it right, JP. The 1-0 on its way is swinging a foul ball again high off the screen on the right side. Beaubien getting in on the hands of Cousineau, the catcher.
We've got Niles, Michigan chiming in. Charlotte, North Carolina. Come up the road here tomorrow or Sunday. Come out to the game. Suburban Philly.
Charlotte's a good 2.5 hours away.
Napoleon, Michigan. Saline.
The 1-1 changeup bounces about 5 feet in front of home plate and takes an odd hop over the shoulders of Alexander. Down to second goes Hensley.
I think this one is pronounced Ocoee, Florida? Oswee? Not sure where that one's at. Again, shout out. Great.
So the count 2-1. Hensley in scoring position for the Cardinals. Pitch on the way to Cousineau. Swing and a miss. The gas blew it by her.
Yeah, we don't have a speed gun. I know we had several questions last weekend looking for pitching speeds with both Michigan and opponents throughout the weekend. There is no gun here on the scoreboard either. But Beaubien's still throwing gas.
2-2. Pitch on the way. Misses high and outside. It was kind of funny after that last swing and a miss. The entire right side of the field, so Taylor Bump, Faith Canfield, Peters, and Hoganrod, all took a few steps in toward the dugout as if they had kind of lost track of the count. Now it's full on Cousineau, the righty. Beaubien winds. Pitch on the way. Swing and check swing. Foul. Back to the screen. Cousineau just got a piece.
The wind is picking up here. I would guess about 15 miles an hour. It's blowing from home plate out to dead center field. So anything that gets lifted up off the ground, that wind's going to push it and give it a little aid to get over that tall wall.
Beaubien battling. Another payoff pitch. Check swing. She went around. Strike 3. And down go the Cardinals. Another scoreless frame. We are through 3.5. We head into the bottom of the 4th. Michigan leading the Louisville Cardinals 5-0 here on WCBN Sports.
6 strikeouts now for Megan Beaubien through 4 full. Again, just the 1 walk and the 1 hit batter, and that hit column's still a goose egg, and that's the last time I'm going to mention it for now.
The last time you're going to mention what?
Superstitious as ever. Or maybe just a little stitious. Ooh, we do have pronunciations on the city. Ocoee. Ocoee.
Ocoee.
Ocoee.
Either Ocoee or Ocoee.
Is that Gulf side or Atlantic side? Gulfside was where my grandma had her condo when we grew up, so we got to go out to good old Englewood. Grammy, if you're listening, hi. I know I gave her the links for the weekend.
It'll be the top of the lineup, running things for the Wolverines.
You got the fam tuning in today in your return, Mo?
Well, I told my dad to listen in, but he hasn't corresponded since I told him the games would be delayed, so who knows.
Central Florida near Orlando. No beach.
Yeah, the word on Lexi Blair has just been overwhelmingly positive from around the Michigan softball world. You know, Carol Hutchins has nothing but good things to say about this freshman. Alex Drain commented in our group me, I think after the first game, that you could just tell Lexi Blair was going to be a heck of a player. She's hitting 474 on the season.
Yeah, she's just as fire can be. She'll try and make it 3 for 4 innings to get the leadoff runner on.
The lefty stands with her feet close together, slightly open on the left side of the box. Roby delivers. She squares to bunt. 2-hop back to the circle to throw to first just in time.
Ooh, that was really close, maybe by a half step. Bonnie Thole right on top of that in the first base coach's box, and she has a little word with the first base umpire. Not arguing, but again, that a really close play. Lexi Blair is so fast down the line.
Yeah, I was stumbling with my words, but Roby pounced, fielded that about halfway between the rubber and home plate.
They even knew it was coming. They were shaded in on her.
That brings up Overitis. First pitch, changeup called strike, outer half, just above the knees.
Grand Blanc, Michigan. Grand Blanc. I always mess that up. As a Michigander, I still don't get that one right.
Overitis, a square stance. Awaits the 0-1. Dips low and away. The count even at 1-1 with 1 out. Nobody on here in the bottom of the fourth. The Wolverines with 5 runs on 8 hits. Scored 2 in the first and 3 in the second.
Yep, Overitis responsible for one of those. She had an RBI fly out.
Swings and misses on a curveball. About letter high on the outer half, and the count runs to 1-2 on the freshman DP.
That sac fly RBI was in the second inning. She popped out over to Ferguson at short in the first.
The 1-2 on its way, swinging a slow roller back to the circle. Roby fields, flips to first. A 1-hop ground out, and Roby doing it all herself on defense for the Louisville Cardinals. 2 up, 2 down for the Wolverines here in the bottom of the fourth. And that'll bring up Faith Canfield.
And when we first started doing softball, Morris, 2-out offense was a huge trope for Michigan, and it's been gone for a little while, and perhaps this is the year where the 2-out offense, the 2-out rally can make a resurgence for this team.
First pitch to Canfield, misses low for ball 1.
But it seemed like they would get the first 2 batters out and then turn like a 5 or 6 batter 2-out rally like every other game.
I mean, the offense was just on another level
that
entirely with any number of outs when we started covering the team. The 1-0 looked like a curveball that just missed off the plate inside. At the knees, the count moves to 2-0 on Faith Canfield.
Canfield had the single out towards center field in the first inning. She flew out to left, made good contact, but a fly out in her second at bat.
2-0 hard riser, misses think outside, and the count runs to 3-0.
And you haven't gotten to say it in a while, Mo, but what's the rule with Hutch on 3-0?
Usually the batters don't swing. Canfield toward the back of the box. Yep, she's taken all the way, and it splits the plate for a called strike 1.
The only exception I ever remember to that was one time I think Sierra Romero swung on a 3-0 pitch. A real meatball. Took it foul, if I remember right.
I feel like Christner might have done it maybe once or twice. Probably only once. The 3-1 on its way to Canfield. Line drive, going to be caught in the air. It was hit right at Caitlin Ferguson. And the Wolverines go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the fourth. They still lead 5-0 heading into the top of the fifth here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where the Wolverines are beating the Louisville Cardinals.
Again, you're listening to Michigan softball coverage on WCBN Sports and the Michigan Student Softball
Radio Network.
I like that.
I don't get that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know. So last week it started because I was saying it normally like I always do. But for some reason, I had like an extra gasp of air, and it just lasted a while. And then the next half inning, I was like, well, maybe I'll just extend it again and see how it goes. And then I just started making it like ridiculously long on drain. And then I kept trying to get him to do the radio network part at the end. He refused. He did it once, but very kind of melancholy, like he was upset that he had to do it. And so I appreciate your enthusiasm with it.
Yeah, sure, man. I'm just going along with peer pressure here. So Beaubien back out into the circle. Through 4 innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch, 6 strikeouts. Pretty standard stuff for the lefty sophomore.
We've got a comment hoping Michigan can keep the momentum up against North Carolina right after this. Same. Yeah, that's all I've got for that one. I mean, same. They seem fully capable. North Carolina, we'll talk about them towards the start of that game. We'll go live a little early for some preview, but a team that looked really, really good last weekend in Puerto Vallarta for a team that came back 2-2, performed really well against some strong ranked competition.
Do we have to read every comment, JP?
I enjoy reading them. I think it gives the listeners a reason to continue commenting.
Okay, I don't mean to be critical. I'm just asking.
People
what
wanna
is the
read 'em all.
policy that we're establishing with this new rush of
I like
of
to shout out
feedback?
everyone we can.
So leading things off for the Cardinals is Cassidy Greenwood, a lefty catcher, pinch hitting. Takes the first pitch, a curveball misses off the plate away for ball 1. Greenwood batting in the place of the left fielder Charlie Butler. We're at the 6th spot in the Louisville order. The 1-0 on its way, swinging a ground ball, hit hard on 1 hop. Right at Taylor Bump, she fields, steps on the bag at first for the first out of the inning.
And another hard hit ball, and a good job by Michigan to stay in front. They had 6 errors in 5 games last weekend. Clean sheet so far here.
Yeah, and they've had plenty of opportunities to make miscues, and they've, instead recorded a bunch of outs.
Yeah.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Shots be falling.
Very talented defense. That brings up the lefty second baseman, Maddie Newman. The slapper takes the first pitch, slides in at the knees for a called strike 1. Outfield shading straight away, not too far in the infield. Maybe a couple steps in from the normal spots, especially Uden down at third. Beaubien winds the 0-1, swinging a foul on the left side back to the screen. Count quickly 0-2 on the second baseman. Hitting now 3 of 15 on the season. 0 for 1 with a strikeout today. The 0-2 on its way, swinging a foul high off the screen. Beaubien tried to get her to chase the high cheese, and Newman just spoiled it.
Louisville could just use some kind of a small spark here to try and get something going. Like we said, they're hitless so far and just trying to make something happen.
Beaubien rocks back. The 0-2 check swing. Curveball misses off the plate away. There will be no appeal as Newman did not go around. Alexander looks toward the dugout to get a sign. And last year, Tara Blanco was allowed to basically call her own game. Foul over the screen on the left side.
Yeah, there always is that bailout in communication for either end of the battery, really, to look over to the dugout, and Jennifer Brundage always up on the top step, normally seated atop her plastic bucket, and she's always got the change up from whatever the wristband might say, or just confirming what it says. I'm not sure.
The 1-2 misses high for ball 2.
I'd love to see what the wristband looks like. That might be a cool little piece for the interviews next week. I doubt it's allowed, but maybe an old wristband if they change it up.
Yeah, maybe you just blur out all of the words.
I could do some editing.
2-2 the count on Newman. Pitch on the way, swinging a slow roller over to second. Canfield fields on a couple of hops, flips to Bump for the second out of the inning. Couple of ground outs to start the 5th for the Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, Newman's fast down the line, and Canfield sat back on that one. It wound up being a close play. Maybe want to see in the future, if they're speedy down the line, a step in and try and get after it a little sooner, but no issues.
That brings up Kyra Snyder. First pitch swing and a miss. That one bounced 2 feet in front of home plate, but the changeup pulled the string. Count 0-1 on the lefty Snyder. I got to disagree with you on that one, JP. I mean, sometimes you just got to trust the transfer from glove to hand to first base, and sometimes you don't want to rush things when you don't need to rush it.
Also fair.
0-1 the count. The pitch on the way. Hard curve misses high. Looked like Snyder was sitting on something off speed, leaned in. missed the zone, the count 1-1.
Again, very hard to complain with anything that Michigan has done so far in the field or at the plate today.
Peters, the center fielder, about 10 steps toward left center field against the lefty Snyder as Bobian lets one sail high. The count now 2-1. She's done that a number of times today. But, I mean, you know.
It's all part of changing the eye levels, you know. You get them up over the helmet, you get them down in the dirt.
2-1, swinging a pop-up left side. Going to be kind of a tough play, but charging and making the catch. And making it look easy is the left fielder, Lexi Blair. Looked like it might have been in that no woman's land Texas League spot, but
yeah, took a hard charge in from left, and they're in plenty of time to make the play.
Yeah, Blair and Rodriguez can just cover so much ground. It's hard to imagine much landing there that shouldn't.
Yeah. We head to the bottom of the fifth with Michigan leading 5-0 here over the Louisville Cardinals in Game 1 of the ACC Big Ten Challenge here in Chapel Hill. You're listening to Michigan softball coverage on WCBN Sports, the Michigan Student Softball
Radio Network. Taylor Roby back out on the bump for the Cardinals. She's thrown 2 innings, only given up 1 hit. She's been making a lot cleaner work of this Wolverines lineup than did the starter, Danielle Watson.
We have another Grand Rapids shout out, but also a shout out to Alex, UM softball student manager. That would be like probably my dream job if I couldn't be doing this. What a cool gig. Also, gotta have love for the West Side.
I guess.
Them's be my peoples, Mo.
I guess. 4, 5, 6 in the Wolverines lineup. Due up this inning, the bottom of the fifth. The Wolverines lead 5-0. It'll be Katie Alexander, followed by Haley Hoganrod and Taylor Bump.
They've gone just a hair quiet here in the last couple of frames, so see if they can pick up some of that offense that they had in the first and second. Again, the change in pitcher probably really helping Louisville as well, as Roby has been pretty good since she came in relief here.
A bit of a mid-afternoon malaise, if you will. Roby gets the sign from Cousineau. The pitch on the way misses inside for ball 1. Alexander 1 for 2 on the day, flied out to left her first at bat, and doubled to left in her second. Roby gets the sign, the 1-0. Riser misses high for ball 2.
Katie flew out to left in her first at bat and then had an RBI double that got out towards the left center field gap up to the wall.
The 2-0. Changeup called, strike caught a lot of the plate there. I just said that, JP. You can't be
zoned.
Gotta get some.
I was looking up the stat.
Gotta get some new material, man.
Looking up the stat, zoned on you.
That'll happen. When you're calling 4 softball games in 3 days, and when you
again the
didn't
wake
get
up
much
time.
didn't get much sleep. The 2-1 misses high and outside. The count moves to 3-1. I just have to call you out because if I didn't do it, I think one of the commenters.
I'm sure they would have.
Nobody on, nobody out. The infield and outfield straight away. The count 3-1.
Get a little humor with us here
against that imposing righty Katie Alexander. Plenty of pop in that bat. Swinging a slow roller over towards short. Tough hop. It ricochets off the heel of the glove of the shortstop Ferguson, and Alexander reaches base on an error to lead things off.
That'll be the first error of the game for either side. At least that's how I think it will go down in the book, as an E6. And indeed it does. And so Michigan, by whatever means, again has the leadoff runner on here in the bottom of the fifth inning, and it looks like Hutch may be making a pinch running move here as she is making the move at home plate.
Those are always tough to negotiate, those in-between hops, as Thais Gonzalez will pinch run for Katie Alexander over at first. You know, if you charge it, maybe you throw off your footwork for what would be kind of a tight play at first, given how slow that one was getting to the shortstop Ferguson. Because you got to put together a few successful plays. You got to field it cleanly. You got to transfer to your hand. You got to plant and throw to first, and the first baseman's got to catch the ball. These players make it look easy, but it's really anything but. First pitch to Hoganrod. This is high and outside for ball 1. And so instead, she relied on her reflexes, playing an in-between hop that I'm sure she's played cleanly hundreds of times, thousands of times, but with the randomness of infield pebbles, sometimes just doesn't go that clean. Ground ball back up the middle, a sliding stop. It skitters off of the glove of the second baseman Newman and into center field. It's a base hit for Haley Hoganrod. Gonzalez up to second base, and the Wolverines 2 aboard with nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th.
And there you go, Haley Hoganrod, not with an extra base hit this time, but a hit nonetheless as it gets right up back through the middle. And now 2 on with none out, and it looks like Hutch going to make another move again here. Not sure if it's pinch hitting. I think it's going to be a pinch hitter just because nobody's in the batter's box yet.
Yep, Taylor Bump looks to be taking off her batter's gloves.
Mo, you can see over towards the dugout. I'm blocked by one of the cameras here that'll be working for the ACC Network Extra Games when we play North Carolina.
Looks like it's going to be Hannah Carson. Carson, the freshman, heir apparent behind the plate. A lefty, as I just now see for the first time because I haven't seen any of these players yet.
Yep, no, you have not. She had the one start in Tampa last weekend in the Florida game. Started behind the plate. Went 0 for 4 at the plate in that game. So still looking for first big hit.
A wide athletic stance toward the back of the box. Swing grounder back up the middle. Fielded on the backhand by the pitcher Roby. Flips to third. Cuts down the lead runner, Thais Gonzalez.
That is the third hard hit comebacker in this game. A great job in the circle. I believe the first 2 did not go to Roby, but a nice play by Roby there.
I mean, if you're not making those plays routinely as a pitcher at this level, you're setting your team back, and it really is impressive. But Roby's made it look easy. That brings up Natalie Peters, 2 on and now 1 out for the Wolverines center fielder. 1 for 1 with a walk and a single. Squares to bunt, stabs at it, and misses for strike 1.
Looked like they were maybe trying to do a quick move up there on the bunt and bump, as Hoganrod had a big move off of the bag at second as the ball came across the plate. So now over at the corner at third, Melton is going to be ready to go in quick down the line.
Peters stands with an open stance in the lefty box. The 0-1 swinging a grounder back up the middle. That's a base hit. Rounding third, heading for home, Haley Hoganrod. The throw cut off by the shortstop Ferguson. It's an RBI single. Natalie Peters is 2 for 2 on the day, and Michigan now leads 6-0 over the Cardinals. The game-ending run on first base.
Yeah, so you kind of peel them over towards the corners a little bit more, even the middle infielders, and then go free swing and go right back up the middle again. That one just inching over towards the left-hand side of the bag at second and eluding the shortstop Ferguson by a good distance.
That brings up Uden. She takes the first pitch, and it misses just low on the outer half. The count 1-0. The Michigan third baseman 1 for 2 with an infield single in her first plate appearance. Roby winds. Pitch misses low and away. Off speed. Good eye from the Wolverines junior lefty. Count runs to 2-0.
6 runs on 10 hits thus far in the game for Michigan. And continuing to cruise.
Roby working quickly. The 2-0 swing and a left field. Taking a few steps back. Looked like she was struggling to judge that one was Charlie Butler, but eventually settled under it and made the catch for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, that one went off the end of Uden's bat there and headed out over towards the left third base foul line, and it looked similar to some of those that have been hit by Michigan in this game that kind of blooped over towards the foul line, just hung up there long enough to track over and make the play for Butler. The wind not doing that one any favors, not hit nearly hard enough to get out towards the track or the wall.
The runners do not advance, so still on second base is Hannah Carson. At first base, Natalie Peters. And at the plate, pinch hitting is Alex Subject, taking the place of Natalia Rodriguez. Roby gets the sign. First pitch, swinging a pop-up right side. Over toward the dugout, making the catch on the run is the first baseman, Kyra Snyder. And that'll do it for the Wolverines' threat here in the bottom of the 5th. So they tack on one more on the RBI single from Natalie Peters back up the middle. They lead 6-0 over the Louisville Cardinals, heading into the top of the 6th here on WCBN Sports' broadcast of Michigan softball. Once again, thank you so much to all of you who have tuned into this broadcast.
We're moving pretty quickly here, trying to make up some time from the first game of the day that extended long. The original scheduled start time for Michigan's game against North Carolina was right now at 4 o'clock, but it looks like we are moving towards a relatively quick finish if things kind of hold the way they have the last couple of innings, with a lot of quick half innings, and hopefully be relatively on time getting towards the second game of the day. Doesn't affect Michigan as much as it will North Carolina and Northwestern, who will have the last game of the day.
Also us. We got plans tonight, JP.
Morris and I trying to get some educational value out of my trip down here. We've got it's not on the campus at Duke.
No, it's downtown Durham. It's a lecture on, I forget what the topic is.
It's on mass incarceration.
Okay, it's on mass incarceration.
As a graduate student in education, the school to prison pipeline, might have to ask an audience question there, but very Michigan. We're going to get our money's worth out of the trip and get some ed.
And we see Griffin Hickman showing us some love in the YouTube comments. Hope everything's going well on your end, man. Had a nice chat with Stu in the hour preceding this broadcast.
Yeah, really two of our longest time listeners, Stu and Griff, and Stu here in person. And yeah, as that first game trailed on and on and on, we just hung out and talked with Stu for about an hour. Looking forward to seeing you soon at the Diamond, Griff.
Riley Schindler, the bottom of the order, leading things off for the Cardinals. Takes the first pitch, curveball, picture perfect placement from Megan Beaubien on the inside corner for a called strike one. Beaubien, 5 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Schindler, the righty, awaits the 0-1 on its way, misses high for ball 1.
The wind has calmed down a little bit, but still the American flag and the North Carolina flag billowing ever so slightly out in left center field.
Schindler took Peters to the wall in her last at-bat. Swing and a miss here, the count 1-2.
Yep, with Peters tracking all the way back to the wall, had her back really posted up against it as she made a really nice grab out in about dead center, really.
Looks like Peters respecting that pop, shading deep and in toward right center. The 1-2 on its way. Rise ball misses high and outside, changing that eye level. The count moves to 2-2 with nobody on and nobody out.
Getting shifty.
Rodriguez, the shortstop, shaded a bit more up the middle against the righty Schindler. The 2-2 on its way, swinging a pop-up foul out of play. It bounces off of a pole and ricochets out toward the right field hitting facility.
One more strikeout, Mo, and I'll be able to get to say it, and I haven't been able to say it with you for a long time.
One for each day of the week.
Yeah, why did you say it before?
You said say it! The 2-2, swinging a pop-up up the middle. It'll settle neatly into the glove of Faith Canfield. And I'm sorry to all of our listeners. I'm out of practice. I shouldn't have spoiled it.
I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so maybe they'll forget about it by the time that it does come around. But, again, that one benefiting Canfield as she was shaded back towards where the dirt meets the grass, and it was hit decently well, kind of jammed inside and lofted over towards where that dirt meets the grass and right into Canfield's mitt.
That brings up the top of the order. Sydney Melton lays down a bunt. It makes contact with her while she is out of the batter's box, and so she is out for the second out of the inning.
Yep, bounced up right in front, and as she was making her first stride out of the batter's box, it came up and hit her in the and as you said, the umpire ruling in fair play, so that'll be out number 2. Real quick work.
Little drag bunt down the right side, but she got in her own way. That brings up Celine Funky, the lefty. Oh, and a big looping changeup on the outer half. Froze Funky for a called strike 1.
That's the slowest pitch I've seen Beaubien throw so far this year, last weekend and this weekend.
Just a lollipop. The 0-1 on its way. A bunt toward the left side, ranging to her left, fielding is Uden. The throw to first. Off the glove of Faith Canfield, who is over to cover, and Funky reaches base. It'll be interesting to see how they score that one, and they scored as an infield single.
Yeah, Funky is fast, and she was getting down the line quickly. Had that glove gotten squeezed around the ball for Canfield, it still would have been a really close play at first, but just popping out.
It's awkward because she's darting to her left, and then the throw to Uden was out toward right field. First pitch to Hensley. Bounces 10 feet in front of home plate for ball 1.
But as always, there to gobble it up in the chest protector, Katie Alexander, and then immediately up out of the crouch to check down to second.
Hensley has reached base in her 2 plate appearances with a walk and a hit by pitch. Want to know the count on the Louisville Slugger. Pitch on the way.
Somebody asked for a pitch count on Megan Beaubien, and we had it in the stat broadcast last week. Again, whoever is scoring, it varies from school to school. It looks like Carolina does not have it set up in Beaubien's pitching box.
It was a called strike. The count 1-1 with 1 on and 2 outs. Pitch on the way, swinging a ground ball snagged by Beaubien. A one-hop rocket right back to the Michigan ace. She fields calmly, flips to first, and that'll do it for the Cardinals in the top of the 6th. No more no-hitter as the Wolverines defense slips up ever so slightly for the first time. However, the shutout's still intact. Michigan leads 6-0 heading into the bottom of the 6th here on WCBN Sports' broadcast of Michigan softball.
If I had to take a stab on Beaubien's pitch count, I would go somewhere around 65-70 would be my guess.
Oh, it's got to be higher than that.
Think it's higher than that?
I think it's higher than that. There have been a couple of long at-bats.
I did not keep the book for this game, so I don't have my counter on there.
I'd bet it's probably closer to 80.
If I come across it here, I'll let you know. They just don't have it in any of their kind of areas of statistics here on the stat broadcast, which, if you're following at home and you want to have the stats pulled up with you, is always a cool tool to use that I think is more known on the broadcasting end than the fan end. A lot of times it is password protected, but these games are not password protected, so you can go to stat broadcast systems and then go to Michigan and just click this game and you'll have the stats. Same for the Carolina game coming up after this. So you can use what we use as we kind of follow the game along here if we don't keep book.
Yeah, the Michigan softball Twitter, whoever's running the Twitter account, often that's Leah Howard, the SID, usually does a great job of tweeting out a link to the live stats. So Lexi Blair leading off this inning for the Wolverines. First pitch on the way from Roby. This is off the plate away for ball 1. Blair 2 for 3 on the day. A single up the middle and a single off the left field wall in the first and second innings respectively. The 1-0 she takes. Good pitch there from Roby. Called strike outer half. Looked like it caught a lot at the plate.
And just in her practice swings, you can see, and Michigan fans who haven't been able to see yet will soon, how quickly she brings the bat around. It's just such a compact, quick swing.
The 1-1 she takes, and it's off the plate, drifting away. The count now 2-1 on Lexi Blair.
A lot of the Carolina blue starting to mosey on in here as the Tar Heels will play Michigan and then Northwestern in the 2 games after this one.
Roby looks in, twists, the 2-1 swing and a ground ball on one hop right to Newman, the second baseman, shaded up the middle fields, and flips to first for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, again, good contact. She hit it hard over towards second, and a lot of times that has seemed to be enough against this Louisville infield. They've had their fair share of struggles picking it up off the dirt, but a nice confident play over at second there by Newman will get the first out of the inning.
That brings up Morgan Overitis, the first pitch on its way, swinging a foul. A pitch up in the zone. Overitis got on top of it.
0 for 3 so far in the game. Sac fly RBI back in the second inning.
Overitis lefty has sort of an odd stance and swing, just a very slight bend to the knees. Sort of lowers the bat ever so slightly, drops her hands a bit perhaps to get a more level swing through the zone as she takes for ball 1 low and away.
Yeah, and you'll notice as well, as the pitcher starts to come in motion to the rubber, she lowers the knees ever so slightly and just continues to do so until the pitch comes across.
The 1-1 called strike. It was about a foot off the plate away, but home plate umpire Charles McManus saw it differently. I guess he's got a better vantage point, but I disagree.
Kind of drops the knees and then builds up that torque, and then the second she's getting ready to swing, you see those knees just kind of lock and bring that power
But watch her hands. Watch the bat as it drops as she prepares. And, you know, as the 1-2 pitch misses low and away, a lot of batters will sort of load up as the pitch is on its way as sort of a timing mechanism, maybe a way to generate power. But, I don't know, it seems like more of a pronounced drop with Overitis.
Yeah.
The count 2-2. The pitch on the way, curveball in the same spot as strike 2, but this time it's called a ball. The count runs full, 3-2. We're not going to spark any controversy here, JP. Both great calls. Nobody on. One out. Roby gets the sign from Cousineau. Delivers the payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes. Overitis couldn't quite contact that off-speed pitch on the outer edge.
Yeah, that's great action as it fell away towards the outside edge, and a really good pitch there from Roby. And she's done very well so far again against this Michigan team. Has just given up the 1 run since she came in relief in the 3rd. Has worked her way now to the 6th. And has kept it within reach for her team.
Pitch on the way to Faith Canfield. Slow roller on the left side. Fielded by a charging Sydney Melton. She fires to first for the final out of the inning. So the Wolverines, for the 2nd time in the last 3 innings, go 1-2-3. They lead 6-0 heading to the top of the 7th, where Megan Beaubien will presumably re-enter the circle looking to finish off a complete game shutout.
Yep, final call for the Louisville Cardinals down to their last 3 outs. Here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan softball and the Michigan Student Softball Radio Network.
So you didn't give me a chance there.
I'm sorry, I didn't think you wanted to. You kind of gave me a look, and
I didn't give you a look at all, JP. I was staring forward. The people can't see this broadcast, but I'm not going to let you deceive them.
We've got a shout out from Iowa City, Iowa. Beautiful place. And also a comment that when I kind of ventured to guess on the pitch count, saying that it seems like this is relatively close to the pitching efficiency of Kelly Barnhill last week, I would say that it is good, but it is not that level, as Barnhill was averaging less than 10 pitches an inning through a full 7-inning game and absolutely shutting down the Wolverines at the plate. Transcendent in the circle.
I think Beaubien will get there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she's real good.
And in a lot of ways, she is there.
I can't say anything disparaging. With a home scorekeeper, she would be on a no-hitter right now. With a neutral scorekeeper, however, they decided to be a little more charitable to Madison Uden.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Beaubien had so many lauds last year, and Freshman of the Year, and Big Ten player. And
swinging a foul high off the screen on the right side from Caitlin Ferguson to shortstop. The righty is leading off things here in the top of the 7th for the Cardinals. Their last gasp.
They are both very much in the realm of elite college softball pitching.
Infield and outfield straight away, back up the middle. The 0-1 swing and a foul tip into the glove of Katie Alexander on the changeup from Beaubien in the count 0-2.
And again, going from that fastball back to that change just kind of crosses the hitter up and just able to get a little hair of the bat on that one for the tip.
The 0-2 check swing. Curveball misses high for ball 1. Good eye from Ferguson. She is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Looking for a hat trick, while Beaubien's looking for a hat trick against Ferguson. The 1-2, swing and a foul tip into the glove. Strike 3 swinging. And Beaubien does get that hat trick against Louisville shortstop.
And she's also got 7 strikeouts now, 1 for you for each day of the week.
Wow, I did not see that coming, Jeremy. What an original line that came out of nowhere.
I mean, it was my original line. Then I said I was going to say it, then you took it. So
Rebecca Chung now bats for the Cardinals. A pinch hitter takes the first pitch low for ball 1. Chung was 5 of 6 on the season heading into the last at-bat of last game against Northwestern. She grounded out 7 on the season. Crouches low in that righty batter's box. Knees, legs wide apart, swings and misses on the 1-0.
Yeah, perhaps. I'm curious, obviously not knowing Louisville as well as their fans and their coach, but for a hitter who has been as good in a small sample size, why Chung is not seeing more time at the plate here.
Curveball, thigh high, called strike, outer half. Another backdoor offering from Megan Beaubien. Ahead in the count 1-2 with nobody on and 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Beaubien rocks back, delivers the 1-2, swinging a foul back to the screen. Some fans flinch. I, of course, do not because I'm too cool for that.
The good old protective netting.
Can be kind of mesmerizing if you stare at it for too long. I recommend not doing that.
If you stand far enough down the first or third base lines, it doesn't cover, so got to be heads up.
The 1-2, change up, called, strike 3. Down looking is Rebecca Chung. And Beaubien with number 8.
She's got 1 for you for each day of the week and twice on Sunday, Mo.
And that'll bring
that
up...
changeup has just been devastating this game.
It has. It's just frozen the Cardinals. That'll bring up Charlie Butler, the righty. Last gasp for the Cardinals. First pitch, check swing. It's a called strike just above the belt anyway. Nice location there from Beaubien.
Just a note, as Louisville is down to their final out in this game, we will be back after this game's conclusion in 30 minutes with Michigan and Carolina.
The 0-1 swinging a foul back to the screen. Beaubien ahead in the count. 0-2, that one in on the hands of Butler. Couldn't quite get around in time.
That video will be a new broadcast, so you'll have to leave the current page that you're on, head back to the WCBN Sports homepage, and then load up Game 2, which should already be there for you to see. The audio will go live when the game does.
The 0-2. Curveball misses high for ball 1. We'll be back soon for you all, we promise. Just going to get some water, use the bathroom, get some, hopefully there's some pizza left in the press box. Hopefully y'all can do the same. The 1-2 on its way from Beaubien. Riser misses high and outside. Does not tempt the righty Butler. The count even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Butler wears number 2. A lot of 2s on the board. Actually, those are the only 2s on the board, aside from Michigan's tally in the first inning. Anyway, the pitch on the way is swinging a foul back to the screen.
This is the only day where Michigan will play back-to-back games, tomorrow and Sunday, just singular games.
I see another 2. It's 200 feet down the left field line, if we're just, looking for visual 2s, which I don't think we are. The 2-2 on its way. Curveball just misses. Beaubien a wry smile as she gets it back from her catcher, Alexander, who turns to Charlie McManus, the umpire.
I mean, that's a really good pitch. There's not a whole lot more to say there.
At the knees, inside corner. Nothing Butler could have done with it if she wanted to. Now the payoff pitch, swinging a pop-up foul just over the screen out toward the press box behind home plate. Count remains full. Butler staving off an 0-2 start to this Big Ten ACC challenge for the Louisville Cardinals. A day that began with a ton of promise, but about to be worst case. Another payoff pitch, swinging a ground ball left side, ranging far to her right. The throw over to first just in time from Natalia Rodriguez.
Woo. And
the Wolverines going to go into their second game of this day with a win under their belts.
Rodriguez had to put some real serious oomph on the back of that ball to get it over across the diamond to first in time. A really nice play deep in the hole at short. She had a couple of those in this game, and again, everything but the one infield single, quote-unquote, came up for Michigan in this one.
Yeah, fitting that some sparkling defense ends the game for the Wolverines. They were solid throughout. Some early fireworks on the offensive end gave them more than enough cushion, given how Megan Beaubien was rolling in the circle. Again, we'll be back with you in about a half hour for the next game against the home team, the North Carolina Tar Heels. I imagine Starako will be in the circle. It'll be interesting to see her. But yeah, you got anything else until then?
No, obviously, I think the only thing that this team will want to focus on is a lot of the hitting came right at the start of the game and then did quell off towards the end. So trying to not only start strong, but continue that through the game. It was 2 runs in the first, 3 in the second, then just 1 in the fifth, and everything else was clean through to the end. So Michigan will look to keep the bats going with some consistency as we head to game 2.
So got to get the offense. Tell them to hit more. I'll tell Hutch, get her to relay it to the team in between games. Until then, we'll be back with you in about 30. Thanks for tuning in for this one, and we hope to see you in a half hour.
And a go blue.
And a go blue.